Mason Rudolph, the possible Steelers replacement for Ben Roethlisberger, he said today that he thinks he can be the guy next year in Pittsburgh, and that's his plan. Dwayne Haskins says that he feels he can be a starter in this league. I think that most Steelers fans would say none of the above, Charean. I don't get it. With Haskins, I think that there's still something to be determined. Yeah. Because he was in Washington, and how do you really get a feel for what kind of a quarterback he's going to be when he's in that cesspool? But he also didn't overcome Mason Rudolph this year in Pittsburgh, and they probably gave him every opportunity to leapfrog Mason Rudolph. We've seen enough from Mason Rudolph. He's not the answer. I said earlier today, and I wrote this on PFT, the Steelers are in a position where they're an attractive team. They've got the coaching. They've got enough good players. There will be veteran quarterbacks who want to play for them, who are decent to great. Just sit back and wait and see how it all plays out. I think that's their best move.
No question about it. You got Najee Harris, who you drafted in the first round this past draft. You've got the defense with TJ Watt and those guys on that side. You've got the coaching. You have everything in place except the quarterback. And frankly, if they had the quarterback this season, this was a team I look at as potentially being a Super Bowl team. That's how close I think they are to being that team. They need the quarterback. So if you're one of these veteran quarterbacks, you have a no-trade clause. I'm putting Pittsburgh that I would accept a trade to Pittsburgh because this is a team that's ready to win now, and I think they can win now. And I don't expect either one of these guys to be their quarterback this season. I'm with you. I've seen enough of Mason Rudolph to know he's not the answer. He's had 17 appearances, 16 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He just hadn't done anything special to tell you that he can be that guy. And Dwayne Haskins, we haven't seen enough to even know about him. There were questions about his work ethic and commitment in Washington. He was a one-year college starter. He just hasn't played that much. So they don't know really probably what they have in him, but I'm not putting my eggs in that basket to say, oh, I think he can become a great NFL quarterback. I just don't know that that's the route that you go either, if you have an opportunity to go get someone.
I remember 3 years ago when Haskins was coming out of Ohio State and we were looking at some of his film from his time with the Buckeyes. There were some Roethlisberger-like tendencies there, the ability to extend the play behind the line of scrimmage, moving laterally, not running vertically, but moving laterally, big guy, off-schedule throws. But again, where you start your NFL career has such a huge impact on whether or not you thrive. And there were some maturity issues with Dwayne Haskins in Washington. That's undeniable. But I think the Steelers recognize there's something there worth trying to groom and develop. They got him for nothing, next to nothing, the absolute minimum for a player with his level of experience. It made sense. And I looked around at the starters for the other teams this year. And again, I don't want to make this let's bash Mason Rudolph, but again, we got to be realistic about it. It would not be hard for them to improve over Mason Rudolph. There are plenty of veterans out there who may very well be available who are much better than Mason Rudolph. He had his chance this year against the Lions, and he couldn't beat the Lions. Through 70 minutes of football, he couldn't outscore the Lions. They tied that game. It's the only game they didn't win at home after Week 3's loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. They should have won that game to the Lions. Now, I can't say that they would have made the playoffs if they had, because they made the playoffs anyway. Not losing the game actually helped them make the playoffs, but they should have won that game. And I just think over the past few years, we've seen more than enough. They need better. They need to expect more. They can get more. And it's not a tough act to follow. That's the other thing that dawned on me this morning, Charean. It's not like Roethlisberger was so good the past 2 years that someone's going to be intimidated by the shadow of Big Ben. He was a shadow of himself. You're going to step right in, and you're going to be a hero. If you're a veteran quarterback coming to Pittsburgh, they're going to be thrilled because you're going to immediately make that offense better. If you're a guy in your late 20s, early 30s with gas in the tank, with low wear and tear, you can come in and you can make that offense dramatically better.
Well, it's a great point, Mike. You look at last year, right? In 2020, I'm talking about. They start out 11-0. No one's talking about Ben Roethlisberger in the MVP conversation. And normally when you have the last undefeated team, that quarterback you have in the MVP conversation, that tells you how good their team was with the lack of a quarterback doing what they needed the quarterback to do. He was a game manager at that point, and that's what he's been the last couple years for the Steelers. And it's been good enough to get them into the postseason this year. So, and last year too, they lost in the first round of the playoffs last year. Now they need somebody to take them that next step. Let's get over the hump. Let's win a playoff game, which we haven't done the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I just think there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks who are looking at Pittsburgh favorably. And if they take their time and wait and kind of let it come to them, they'll have the leverage, they'll have the advantage, and they may be able to get someone to choose to come play for them for less money than they would get somewhere else.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.